Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about CSS tables. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As well, if you find this video useful, share it with somebody else. And if you like my video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Also, if you want to support my channel, I am going to leave my PayPal link in the description below. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to get started with CSS tables, I need you to go to w3schools.com, the same website that we've been using so far. You're going to go to the CSS section, then you're going to scroll all the way down where it says CSS tables. You're going to click on it, and you're going to get this right now. Now, I also need you to have opened the same website we've been working with so far and the code for that website. Right now, what I am going to do is clear out the entire HTML content that we have worked with so far. I'm going to clear this out, and I'm also going to clear out the style because I want you to see a little bit better how tables can be styled. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and I'm also going to save this. Going back to our welcome page, let's hit refresh. And boom, there we go. So now our website is empty. Let's just do a quick test here. I'm going to add a header. Let's do an H1, and this is CSS tables. Okay, we're going to set that up, and well, I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to hit refresh. There we go. So everything is functioning well. Okay, so in CSS tables, we're going to cover the following topics. We're going to talk about how to add borders to your tables, how to change the size of your tables, how to align them so that everything can be as you want, how you can give some style, a little bit of color, and a little bit of some other type of styles, and how to make your table responsive. Okay, we're going to be talking about those topics in this video. So let's get started with CSS borders here. Here's an example in CSS table of an HTML table that can greatly improve the style overall of the table itself with CSS. As you can see, it's a super cute table. You have here the company, contact, and then some countries here, and it's been styled properly. And you are going to learn how to do that in this video. So let's get started with borders. So table borders. To specify table borders in CSS, you're going to use the border property, okay? And here are some examples in how you can add borders to each, the table head, and the table data. So the first thing that I want you to do is create a table. Now we're going to hit here where it says try it yourself. Okay, and what I am going to do is simply copy the table here, all the entire table content, to make things easier and not type everything from scratch. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that you already know how to create a table if you already went through our HTML course, which as well I'm going to leave the link in the description of this video if you haven't seen it yet. So, okay, here we have a table. We have it with first name, last name, and then on another table row, we have obviously the name and last name of the person. And I'm going to add actually one more table head. I am going to say, let's add the title, okay? And let's add some table data here because we're going to set first name and last name, and then the title is going to be, let's just have it as doctor here, and then the last one we're going to set table data, and we're going to set it up as an architect. Okay, let's do that. Let's hit save. Now we're going to go back to our HTML file, and let's hit refresh. And boom, here we have the table, as you can see. And as default, it doesn't have any style. So how can we add borders? In this code, as I said before, you're going to be using the border property, and then you're going to give it some type of border definition, okay? So here, what we want to do is add the border to everything, to the table head, and to the table data, okay? So what I am going to do is simply copy all this, okay? And I'm going to go back to our code, and we're going to go back to style. As you can see, I already have added the border there. We're going to hit save. And now we're going to hit refresh. And boom, you see how this has changed because we added 1 pixel to the border for the table head, and the table data. And if you want, we can only add this style just to the table, just so you can see what's going to happen. I'm going to hit save and then I'm going to hit refresh. So see that this is the entire table. This is the table itself. Now on the example here, we have that this has been added also to the table head. If I add this to the table head, then check out what's going to happen. See, now all table heads will have a border. And then if we want to do the same for the table data, we simply go ahead and call the table data to also have this specific border applied. Okay, now I'm going to hit save and let's hit refresh. And as you can see, now all the table data as well has that border. Now we did the border 1 pixel. It's going to be the size, right, of the border here, the line, the border line. Then it's going to be solid and it's going to be black. Now I can change the color. I can perfectly change the color and make this red if I want. Instead of solid, I can also make this dotted. And let's just leave the same 1 pixel. Let's hit save and now let's hit refresh. And you see how this now it has changed. Now we have a red border dotted with 1 pixel. I can even change the pixel size here. Let's do it 5 pixels. Let's hit save and let's hit refresh. And wow, looks super ugly. But anyways, you can go ahead and actually play around with that and see what other type of borders you can add here using the table border property. For now, I am going to change this back to solid. Okay. Just so we can see that better. And let's hit refresh. Okay, that's a little bit better. Alrighty, so let's move on. So that's what you can do when it comes to the table border, right? Now there's another thing that you can do to the border, and it's give it a width. Okay, you can give a full width to the entire table. You can set it up as 100%, which will be 100% of the window size. So if I go ahead and I say I want the width to be 100%, let's do that right now. Let's hit save. I'm going to hit refresh. You see how everything gets wide to the window? If I set it up to 50% instead, then it's only going to take 50% of the window size, which is this portion right here. Okay, that's another thing you can do with borders. And then you can even use border collapse. Okay, so this property will set whether the table border should be collapsed into one single border. So we already have many borders in here, as you can see, and they are all separate. But we can go ahead and we can actually make all of them in one same border. For that, we use border, and then we're going to use border collapse. Okay, and the value that we're going to set for the border collapse here is going to be collapse, as you can see. Okay, so I will do that. Then I'm going to hit save. Going back to our example, let's hit refresh. And boom, now everything is just one single border. Okay, so that's other thing you can do here. Now, giving you some other example, well, I already talked about this. Actually, I got myself ahead. I show you how you can simply apply this to the entire table, then to the table head and to the table data. You can go ahead and actually play around a little bit with this. There are more things that you can do. You can change the color, you can change the border style, you can play around with border collapse and see what the other values will do to your tables when it comes to borders. So I hope this is very simple, and this is all I have to say in table borders. If you have questions about table borders, leave them in the comment section below. I will reply as soon as I can. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is the table size. So we have here our table already set. If we want to give it a size, a different size to each let's say as an example here, to each value, like let's say to the table head, I want to make this a little bit higher, right? I can go ahead and I can use the width and height property to apply that. I already show you how you can do the width of 100% to the entire window and 50% if you want just half of your window size. But you can also apply some height into the table itself. So let's do the following. Right now, the width is 50%. We are going to leave the width in 50%, but what I am going to do is apply a height. And I am going to apply the height only to the table head. Okay, so to show you how to apply a different width to the table, what I am going to do is clean the entire format that we have added here. And you can even click here where it says try it yourself. Okay, so you can see how this is been applied. As you can see to the table itself, we have it as table collapse and there's a width of 100%. Now let's just use the table head for this example. I'm going to use table head. And what I am going to do to the table head is give it a height. So to the table head, the height is going to be, well, in this example is 70 pixels. I'm going to give it 100 pixels just so you can see. Okay, let's see 100 pixels here and let's hit refresh. And boom, you see now how the table head is higher. And you can even apply different type of width as well if you want, but I'm going to let you play around with that so that you learn by practicing, okay? Going back here to the table size, just so you know, you can go ahead and also play around with the height. Same thing in pixels, same measures like points. You can go ahead and apply centimeters, however you want, okay? The bottom line is that you go ahead and you play around with this and how to change the size of each thing, okay? So just remember, we do this using the width and height property if you want to play around with this. Also, I can do the same thing. If I don't want to apply this to the table head and I just want to apply this to the table data, I simply change this to table data, hit save, and now all my table data is going to be higher and my table head is going to be smaller. So let's refresh. And boom, you see? So it's very, very simple to change the size of your tables. So go ahead and play around with this and let me know if you have questions in the comment section, as you know. Moving on to the next topic, we have here table alignment. So here is how you're going to learn how to align your table and make all these letters. Right now they are been aligned to the left. You can align them to the center, you can align them to the right. You can align them to the top or you can align them to the bottom. How do we do that? It's very simple. You only have to use the text align property. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's do the same thing with the table data. Right now, everything, as you can see, is been aligned to the left as default. So what I am going to do is center everything. So let's use text align for this. Text align and let's hit center. Okay, now I'm going to hit save and let's go ahead and hit refresh. Boom, you see how now everything has been changed to the center? Okay, so that's one thing you can do there. Now, the other thing that you can do with the text align, as I said before, is go ahead and do the vertical alignment, which is going to bring things to the top or to the bottom. Okay, so now I am going to say here, let me just put this in order, vertical align, and I am going to put all the text for my table at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to hit save, going back to our page. Take a look at it right now. Right now it's center. Now it's going to move to the bottom. Let's hit refresh. Boom, you see, now everything has been aligned to the bottom. So you can go ahead and actually play around with those two properties, text align and vertical align, and that's going to let you either move things top, either move things bottom, or you can center, do left, do right, however you want. Go ahead and give it a try, code along, and that's the best way you're going to learn how to use this. So let's move on to the next topic, which is table style. So table style, it's adding style, right? Like background colors, padding, margins. We have already seen this. So you can do the same thing to your table, just using the proper selectors. Let's say as an example that I want to give a background color to my table. I can do that. Let's say I want to give a padding to my table. I can do that as well. So what we are going to do right now is copy the style for this table in particular. So I'm going to hit here where it says try it yourself. Now, as you can see here, this table, it's been properly set. What the entire style is doing is that it's bringing one pixel solid and it has a color of like gray around it, and then all the text is aligned to the left. As you can see, it has a border collapse. You have a width of 100%, the total window size here, and you have a padding of 15 pixels. So we can certainly do this, okay? What I'm going to do is delete all the text that we have added here. I'm going to hit save, going back to our code, let's hit refresh. And right now there's no style. So now we're going to give it a little bit of style. We're going to apply exactly the same information here. Okay, now I'm going to hit save so you can see what this is doing. As you can see, it's been added with a bit of gray color here. I'm just going to leave it like that, just on the meantime. Now the next thing, so that's the first thing it's done, right? Aligning the text to the left, and actually I don't want it to the left. I want this text to be center. So I'm going to hit save, let's hit refresh. Now everything is aligned to the center. The next thing that it's been applied here to make this table happen is border collapse to the entire table. And it's been applied a width of 100%. So I'm going to copy this as well. Let's paste it and let's hit save. Now when you go back to your table here and hit refresh, everything has been aligned to 100% of your window, okay? And then the last thing they did is apply a padding to the table head and to the table data, both values, okay? Both selectors. So let's copy that and let's apply the same thing now in our case, okay? So let's hit save, and now you're gonna see the padding and everything changed. I'm going to hit refresh, and boom, you see, now it has a padding of 15 pixels from the actual border. We already talked about this. If you don't remember, I suggest you to go ahead and actually check our previous chapters on CSS. I'm going to leave the link of that as well in the description below. So as you can see, it's very simple to give it some type of style. If you want, you can even give a background color to the entire table and go ahead and actually play around with more type of styles in here. Here we have a different a table with horizontal dividers. The reason they did horizontals is because they are applying something a little bit different. As you can see, if we click here where it says try it yourself, they are only applying the padding of 8 pixels. The border itself, it's only applied to the table head, table data, and it's 1 pixel solid, okay, to the bottom, to the border bottom only. That's why you only see this in here. We can do the same thing if we want, but I'm going to let you play around with that. The other thing that you can do here is to use the hover state, okay? If you use the hover state, you can even add a background color when you hover over your elements. And I am going to do this. To each table row, when we hover, we're going to apply a certain type of background color. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to copy this code, okay? Let's paste it here. So every time that we hover over a table row, we're going to use a background color. This one, it's kind of red. Let's just apply a red one, just so you can see it. Okay, I'm going to hit save. And let me just move this thing down. It's just because I don't like it like that. Okay, so I'm going to apply that right now. Let's hit save, and now I'm going to hit refresh. So now what's going to happen is that every time that I move to a table row, you see how this, when I hover over it, the background turns red? That's because we are applying the table row with the state of hover and a background color of red every time we hover over it. You can change the color and style it as you want. And you can even do strip tables. There is another property which is called nth child, and you can do your table with a background color to all even or odd, depending upon what you want. So in the example here, we see that to the table rows, when they are even, the background color will be this. So if we go ahead and we copy this, we delete the the table row hover, and we apply this style instead, let's hit save and let's hit refresh. Now, every single even row will have this style, as you can see. I'm not hovering over it, but this is saying nth child. Every single even row will be this color as a background. Okay, so I hope that's self-explanatory. You can even change this from even to odd. let's change it to odd and let's hit save. Now I'm going to hit refresh and see now to every first and every third, it's where the color will be applied. If we had a fourth line here or a fourth row, it would have been the second and the fourth if we had it on even, but this one is odd, so I just changed it so you can see it. So that's how it works. That's how you can give different type of styles to your entire document. You can even just change the table head to a different background color. I can do that right now if you want. We can go ahead and apply this to the table head. Let's apply a background color of black, and let's apply a color to the text of white. Okay, now let's hit save and let's hit refresh. And see, now I am changing the table head. So there are many styles you can give to your table here by just playing around with this. I hope this has been useful so far. If it has, just make sure that you practice so that you can learn a little bit more and study here in this website. Now, the last thing I want to show you is the table responsive. How to make your table responsive. And what do I mean by responsive? That if you have a whole bunch of items, you can see this scroll bar to let you turn to left or right if you need to. So that's what I mean with responsive. Now, how do we make this scroll bar appear? By using the overflow X. Okay, so let's take a look at the example here at W3 Schools. If you click here where it says try it yourself, you will see the responsive table. Now here they added a whole bunch of items. So I'm not going to type in every single one of them. So we're simply going to do the same thing. We're going to copy the entire items here. I'm going to paste all the item in our index file here. Okay, I'm going to hit save. We're going back to style. We're going to hit save as well. Let's go back to our welcome page and let's hit refresh. So you see, I have a whole bunch of points there, etc. Okay, so to make it responsive, all I have to do, and by the way, I'm going to delete the table that we added before, the first one. Let's just go ahead and delete that one here. And I'm going to delete also the style for that one. Let's hit save. And let's also hit save to the index file. And now let's hit refresh. And boom, now I only have the points and everything that was added there, right? So in order for you to see this scroll bar there, we are going to use the overflow X. What I am going to do is copy the style, which is saying border collapse with a width of 100 pixels, and then it's giving the text aligned to the left with 8 pixels of padding. I'm going to apply all that style here to our code, and we're going to hit save. Now I'm going to hit refresh, and this is changing, right? Now the next thing we're going to do is apply the table row with even, so that way, you know, it happens what I explained to you guys, the background color. Okay, I'm going to apply that. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to apply that as well here. And let's hit refresh. Okay, so now we're getting that there. And the last thing that we want to do is make sure that we style it as overflow X auto. Now, we have the table, but in order for this to work, we need to make sure that the table is into a div tag. Okay, so right now I only have the table by its own, but I am going to add a div. Okay, I'm going to add a div, and I'm going to make sure that I close this div right after the table tag. Okay, so now I'm going to hit save. Going back to our code, let's hit refresh. And to the div, I am going to style it as overflow X auto. Okay, so this is the style we're going to give. And how do I do this on external CSS? Very simple. I'm just going to call the div. And to the div, we're going to use the overflow X property. And we're going to make sure to set it up to auto. Okay, I'm going to hit save, and we're going to hit now refresh. As soon as I do this, you don't see right now the scroll bar because obviously I need to make sure that I hit save here, and I'm going to make sure that I hit save here. Now, if my window was, let's say as an example, this big and all the items, I'm not able to see all the items at once, then the overflex X is going to allow me to see a scroll bar so that I can see my entire table. Okay, so that's how you can make a table responsive. If you have questions about this last topic, make sure to leave it as well in the comments section below. But I hope it is self-explanatory. What I recommend you to do is go here into more examples in how to make a fancy table, and you can go ahead and actually get more ideas in how you can style in different ways your table. And as well, you can go ahead and take a look at the properties again, border collapse, border spacing, and some other properties that could help you make a beautiful table. So that was it for this video, everyone. I hope you liked it. I hope that you have learned a lot. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye, everyone, and see you again in the next episode.